Welcome to Scotty's Wood Products. So today we're going to look at the Mechmaxx sawmill. I've had it for 5 months here. Going to give my thoughts and overview on it and see what the chickens think. Yeah. So here's the cover. Get this pulled off it. And this is after 5 months out in the elements. So the pull start I've used for 5 months and it worked. Honestly, it works great. I hadn't hooked the battery up and it sat for 5 months, and I hooked it up and it fired up first pull. So let's try it. Choke. First pull. And then but I've been really happy with this. Is basically a Honda clone. They give you a couple options, a Kohler one or that one. I think the Kohler one you could do a little more heavy duty, but I've been happy with it. Gotta move. Pretty quiet. I've been putting a tape measure up here, soap and water in here, and then you put your water on with just that. So that waters the blade. Throttle. So I'm gonna set up just a small log, and then we'll put some bigger ones on. So first time this has happened, pretty minor, but I'm gonna put it in here anyways. Comes out. This was clogged with sawdust and a little corrosion. So that's first time it's done that in 5 months of running this thing. So I just wanted to point it out. But I just blew a little compressed air on it, and it should be good to go now. But the water wasn't coming out, so you guys missed that first cut there. But anyways, let's drop this down. I'm gonna go wider. This is just a dinky little log, but we'll run it. So yeah, having the tape right here. There's a scale on the side. I'll show you on when you're cutting other boards. But sometimes I'll just come down here and measure it. So that'll get you 2 inches right there. This I don't know if this needs a new lock nut, but it's kind of a sweet spot of getting it either tight enough or tight enough to clamp it, but also too I want to lube these, so that's another thing I've learned. But I probably should just do a new lock nut or some Loctite on that one. So, but anyways, boom, clamp that down, clamp that down, fires right up. Now let's run it. Dinky little log. Yeah, so there's a couple 2x. You want to put grease on these. I haven't re-greased them since, and they've been fine. There's this side. Yeah. Get that other one. Gotta love that. So another thing too is I want to build a more permanent base, and I want to build a shelter over it. But right now, this is what we got going on. I milled just some 6-inch thick, I want to say it's spruce. Ran it across, and then I got blocks under it, and I leveled it. You can run a string line from this side all the way down the end and look and see if there's any air between the string line. That's how you know you're level, and also too using a level. But you use the leveling feet. I actually modified mine, and that's one thing. It was super easy. I just drilled a couple holes, but I rearranged the track in whatever way I could to get, I wanted to go just straight across. I think it kind of alternates to distribute the load or whatever. And I drilled a couple holes for these so I could run these straight across. And it's good raising it up a little bit. You don't want to go too high, but it's good raising it up a little bit. And another thing too is, you know, people that make a whole deck and whatnot, I can see that being nice. But how I have it right now, it's really easy to clean up the mess, right? Because it produces a lot of sawdust and stuff, and a lot of it shoots over there, but you still get wood chunks and whatnot. So I just recently cleaned this, but I can just take a rake like this, rake it all out, and then take the skid steer and just scoop it all and dump it in the woods, and then clean up done, you know. And the sawdust I've been just kind of spreading, just leaving it. So I wanted to point that out for anyone that's setting one of these up, you know, until you build a more permanent thing. I'd like to do concrete in the ground and build a whole frame. A lot of people, you'll see that online. Eventually we'll get there. So just wanted to point that out. That's another thing. But it's good. It's one of those things you got to use it for a while and figure out what works and what doesn't work for you. So yeah, so let's even too, I'll bring it over. I got a bucking stand I made, and I've been using those IBC tote cages, and really helps manage the slab cuts. And you know, we need an endless supply of firewood. So but here's some stuff over here I milled. Some 4x4s. And then there's some cottonwood right there. And I got some other slabs and stuff I milled. Doing all the paneling in the house and the shop with this thing, which is awesome. So I still got, I'll show you, I got a whole bunch of cottonwood logs that need to be milled. Maybe we'll mill one of those, but I got another pile of logs here. Got some older pile over here. Let's take the coffee. Let's do a little walkie poo. And another thing too is you'd be surprised, some of these older logs that look like absolute garbage, and then you mill into it and it's like beautiful, especially the cedars. This is a gnarly one. Look at that one. But we had Buddy help drop a lot of these, and it's good too because we need paneling in the house and we need paneling in the shop, and it's just a constant mill it, let it dry, and then I'm making shiplap out of it. But yeah, here's some of those cottonwood. So the beauty of having the 32 inch is you can mill these, you know. Some of these get pretty big. There's a monster one I still got to get out of the woods with a rotted butt on it. But yeah, we'll throw one of these bad boys on. But yeah, we got more logs back here too. So that's the thing, is if you got any kind of property that has trees on it, the sawmill is so worth it. And if anyone who's watched my stuff for a bit knows I did a lot of the chainsaw milling, which has its place, and there's times where you got to bring the saw to the log, you can't bring the log to the mill. But you want to talk how much more accurate, quicker, faster, having the bandsaw mill is so much more efficient. And even too with firewood, we've been burning all the slab wood. The amount of time it saves being able to cut 4 slabs off of a log, throw it in my bucking stand, cut it all at once with the big chainsaw, and throw it in the totes and not stack it. That alone, producing the firewood that we need for the winter, has been absolutely huge, which we couldn't have done without the saw. So you kind of figure out a system that works. And even too, I got a lot of stuff I milled with the chainsaw that needs edging, you know, sometimes you want the live edge, sometimes you don't. Like I get some nice cedar stuff right here that it is so much faster to throw that on the mill, edge it, and then, you know, set it to like 8 inches or whatever and cut it than it is doing with the chainsaw with a you know, a long straight edge that's not truly straight, or, you know, a chalk line, and just messing around with it. It's just slow going. So I think I'm gonna edge all these cedars. These are all dry. These have been air drying for a while. So and even too, some of the logs that aren't that great, I've been just milling 4x4s, you know, or 6x6s for dunnage to put all these logs and lumber everywhere. So, and then the cutoffs just go right to firewood. Let me, yeah, while we're talking, let's show what we got going on with the firewood, because it's we've been running the wood stove, and it's like you can never have enough firewood. It's nonstop, and the stuff takes forever to dry. So but we put up a shelter logic, and I've been running the wood splitter. So you know, like, it's kind of nice having a mix of okay, like a lot of these are just slab cuts, unsplit, cut them, throw them in, and then some of this other stuff I just mixed it, so you get a good mix of, you know, the rounds and stuff. Like this one, I still gotta split all the stuff in here. But like this one, that whole bottom 2/3 is all slab stuff off the mill, you know. And so just doing a little mix. Even too, what we've learned is this is one of those rubbery animal things, but I was using the plastic bins and they just kept cracking. But it's really nice. You split the wood, goes in this, and then you huck the whole thing right in the tote, you know. Just makes it go a little quicker. But yeah, I wanted to do a little walkthrough. Another thing with the chainsaw mill is you can keep moving the guide, and you can cut some really long stuff. So if you need really, really long stuff, that's another time where the chainsaw mill can at least do it, you know. But I want to say we can get almost 22 or 23s or something if we get one more extension kit. So that's more than enough too, because we're gonna saw some beams for the shop to make a little loft up above, you know, just for storing stuff, you know. And we need 18 footers and 18-foot beams. God, if you had to buy that, that would be crazy money. So with the sawmill, self-reliance, you get you some of that, man. Just mill some freedom for you. Just milling freedom. But yeah, let me throw those. I'm gonna throw those 2x over there, and let's get a bigger log on here so you guys can see this thing in action. Another thing too that I want to point out for my viewers, kind of like a dust collector. Here, let's crank this up, and we're gonna open it up. You guys can see. But here's the scale. Works really, really good, honestly. I just, how I do it, I set, you know, I do one cut and put it just eyeball level. So say it's on 3, and then you just try not to move your head and just drop her down. Boom, it's at 4. There's a 1-inch 4/4 board. Clamp it, run it, and then you just keep doing that. I can cut 1 inch for the paneling we need, doing it that way. So the scale's super, super helpful. And some guys, that's the thing with the mill too, some guys like stuff a little plump. They want to go a little thicker, and you get the freedom to do that, you know. But yeah, let's crank her up. but it's all cable, and you can adjust the cables too, so you can get it dead level with the bunks. And even too, that's another thing too, get you one of these after you cut. I kind of like the plastic one. It's light, it's cheap, and but after you cut your cant, so to speak, you can put this on, square it up to the blade, and make sure you get square cants. Oh, that's another one, right? Loctite these guys. I got one bolt that came out probably just from vibration and stuff, but these set the angle, so you can set the angle of the bunks. Yep. But that's another thing too, is if you raise this thing up, see right now I get the wood in the way, so I have to go back and forth between the different bunks. You know, if I notch this out, or just you want to make this thing high enough where you can drop these bunks, the long ones, all the way down and not have to switch them out. So anyone who's building a base for it, make it tall enough. See, like over here, it's not in the way. It gets down pretty low, but you'd almost want more, so you could get this completely down. So things to think about for anybody who's buying one of these or has one's building a base. But yeah, let's open this up too. Well, I know we'll get to the big logs. We'll get to the big logs. But let's open this up. So these, you can pop that. It's a 2-piece. So then the same thing over here. So I have not had, I've gone through, I'll have to look how many belts. But yeah, I've gone, or it's not belts, blades. So you want extra blades and you want extra belts. This is like a little safety thing. If you open it up, it won't start. But anyways, like I was saying with like dust collectors, anyone who does any woodworking that has a dust collector, see this right here? Oh, see, look at that chunk right there. Piece of, and just sawdust. It's just sawdust, okay. I'm really think I'm gonna cut this. My only concern is the dogs come and try to eat the sawdust and they start barking at it. But there's two right there, right? And that's a safety thing, so you can't go into the blade or whatever. But I will say, if the circumstances are perfect, this will fill with sawdust if you don't clean it out. And what happens is, if you don't clean it out, or you don't see sawdust shooting out of here, it'll fill with sawdust, and then it'll prematurely wear these belts. So something to keep in mind, something I wanted to point out. And honestly, I feel like if I just cut these, won't have that problem ever again, you know. But the manufacturer builds it a certain way, and I get the safety thing, the dogs sticking their nose in here. But you know, that's something I wanted to point out. And that's another thing too, is these belts, if you get a bunch of sawdust and you're spraying water down here and it gets wet and you don't clean it out, it can slip on this. And so that's another thing too. Every time you open these up, just kind of scrub any sawdust off the belt, and you can rotate it like that, and that keeps it so it grabs really good and has a lot of power, you know. But something I wanted to point out to anyone looking at getting one of these or running a sawmill or whatever, you know. Right now, I mean, just a little bit right here of sawdust. So really not bad right now, but I have had this thing fully cutting some big stuff. You'll get little chunks of wood and sawdust but yeah, I'm real tempted to cut these. So something worth pointing out, but it's kind of nice, and you want to raise this up so you don't bang your head on this. That is another thing. Right now we're down low, but crank this thing all the way up when you're working on it so you don't hit your head on this. But yeah, so that lifts up like that, kind of nice. Look at, boom, there's 2 clamps. But yeah, so anyways, on every dust collector I've ever gotten, they have the little cross piece that protects the impeller or whatever, and I take them out because it'll clog with shavings, and the whole point of dust collector is to collect the dust. So something worth noting. Yeah, emergency stop I haven't used, but it works. I did do a zip tie right here, and it's kind of loose, and so depending on how big the log is, sometimes you need this out of the way, you know, and I'll sometimes I'll angle it this way so it clears in here, but that seems to be working pretty good. I did add a hour meter too, and it only shows 1.1, but I did the first oil change. Probably should have done it earlier, but anyways, we ran this thing for 5 months. Go off the manual, you know, run it and then do the break-in. But I got some Pennzoil full synthetic. Oil change was really simple. Just drain plug right here. There's 2 fill plugs, so you can use either side. Depending on what's easier to get to for you, you know. Wiring, putting the mill together, it's just a couple connections that clip together, and then the battery I did later. So been running just you know, 90 or better octane with a carburetor. You don't want to run the ethanol garbage. But no, the hour meter now, super easy to install. You literally clip this wire in this back here, and you do 5, I want to say it's at least 4 or 5 wraps on the spark plug wire. And I threw a couple zip ties, done. Now you know, okay, did my oil break-in change? And then you can look up whatever the spec is for how many hours till you change the oil, you know. And I'm doing full synthetic. I think I get the Pennzoil in there. We'll have to see what weight it is. But I got a sweet deal on it too. Blade torque. So someone else did a video too saying what's really nice, I'll use a beam style torque wrench on this thing and do 30 foot-pounds. So that gets you the 10,000 psi blade tension. So how this has a nut on it is perfect. So you can just torque that. This wheel tilts, and that's how you get the blade on. You can loosen it up or whatever. You know, and this, if this nut is tight, you can't do that or whatever. So basically, I've been super happy with that. Being able to set it, boom, you know it's good on the blade tension, no guessing. So I've been happy with that. The lift points work good. I put this whole mill together myself, and then the only help I had was just getting it on the track, having someone just hold it and guide it, and we just used toe strap with the skid steer, dropped it right on. Yeah, so another thing too, you know, I got a buddy that has a mill, and his doesn't have these wire cables really well thought out of to keep the sawdust clear on the wheels. So that's been a nice touch. So, but yeah, that's kind of short of just milling stuff. That's kind of a overview right there. Tells you how much soap to put. I'll be honest, I've done a lot less than that and I haven't had any issues. So this is, I've been just dumping some in, squirting it in, and then filling this tote and just dumping it in here. So in the winter, you can switch to windshield washer fluid so it doesn't freeze. But yeah, she's running good. So if you get any kind of wavy cuts, change the blade. So anyone that hasn't had a mill or whatever, second your boards have a little wave to it, you slap a new blade on this thing and then it just cuts amazing. So you try to minimize time in the bark. You know, the more you saw, the more you kind of figure it out. But you know, you do your slab cuts and then you rotate it, try to get just under the bark layer. You'll get a little more life. I am going to rig up a sharpener, but when you get one of these, definitely get the 10-pack of blades, or at least a 5-pack. But yeah, let's get a big boy on here. Let's get a big boy on here. So I got the bucking stand over here. So all the slab wood or cut-offs, you can cut it all at once. Helps keep a cleaner area. It's like that, and you can chop it. So put these in pointed side like that so you can roll it, and then I'll push the clamps back, make sure the head unit is all the way back. You can use forks to load it. You got to be careful. You don't want to damage the rail. I've had good luck with this grapple bucket and just tilting it down and slowly opening it. Let's go get a log. Tilt this down. Probably gonna have to trim this guy back, but that's okay. So you can see, try to get as close to that as you can without banging into it. Because then, oh look, we might have it. Yeah, let's just get her on there. So yeah, come down like that. And then I'm gonna barely tap this right here. See how nice and easy that went? Didn't bang anything, didn't break anything. And then I parked this thing, I opened the claws. You know, this is where, if this had forks too, on the same attachment, would be pretty cool. But anyways, did pretty good, honestly. You know, I could have came over a touch to the right, but yeah, we'll trim the end of it off. We'll trim it. But yeah, tools, you definitely need big chainsaws and one of these cant hooks to be able to roll these things. And then even too, having a little mini boy chainsaw to trim branches and limbs and stuff that didn't get trimmed. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to scoot that. But even too, I've noticed too, being able to come under it and put some leverage like this off these bunks to scoot stuff. Oh yeah. Yeah, see, moving that. You can do it. It's not easy, but doing that. So let's get her clamped up. Okay, so I did scoot it in a little bit. So just so you guys can see exactly how long you can go. So there's 3 inches from the blade to the butt of this log. And this log is at like 16 foot 2. And you can see this angle here. So I'm gonna just even this out real quick. That's 16.2 right there. That should go right through. See, let's see. Oh, nope. So we should have put it on the other way, but now we know 19 inch. So pretty consistent log, honestly. But we're gonna run it. So we're gonna run it. But let's fire this thing up. First pull. The slab too, you take a little at a time so you don't have to deal with a super heavy or wasteful cut. So let's run this thing. Water coming out. Yeah, so I should probably throw a new blade on it. I had to push a little hard on her. That one stick got in the way there. And yeah, we should have had the small end down this way. Actually, not too bad of a depth on that for cutting. So this is a monster slab cut here. On that, so you loosen that up. So these two should be 10 mil. Yeah, so those two 10 mils, this slides out that way, and then you gotta make sure that one bolt's loose, but you can see this wheel tilts like that, and that allows the blade to pop right off. Gonna want to wear gloves too. Really pretty easy. That's the skew for a 5-pack. And then I have not changed the belts on this. That's the skew for the belts. But I'm kind of curious here. I want to see what we get in here. So looks like just a V belt. Sure looks like it fits that right there. Let's try. Boom. So that comes off super easy. Yeah, wow. Yeah, super easy. So yeah, this wheel tilts like that to get the blade on. And then this one, yeah, okay. Yeah, so they're kind of twisted up, but that one goes here. So let's see if there's a number on that. 2400 Li. Yeah, let's see if this one, my guess maybe pop it right here. Should check the manual, but you know how that goes with men. Okay. I really don't want to pull that off, although that might be the move. I don't see how else. I don't really want to mess with any of the settings or anything. Okay. That popped off. So let's get on the big boy. There it is. So whether that's the right way to do it or not, it worked. Yeah, wow. That other belt, this is just so much tighter. So let's get that other blade on. You guys can get an actual look at it with good blade and belt on her. It is nice that it's split and opens up on this side, because I gotta put this back on. It's just the two 10 mil bolts right here. So I'll button those up and then we'll make another cut. Okay, so I know this was an old worn belt and dull blade, and basically I'm gonna do another cut. I'm gonna just cut a 1-inch board so we get a fresh face. And also too, I want to get at least like 6 inches here of clean wood. But we're gonna do a 1-inch pass here. How I like to do it is you can get the blade just over it like that. So that's just touching right there. Come back, then you use your scale over here. So I can go right at eye level, 1 inch. Lock it down. Yeah, so that whole lot better. Nice clean. So now with this log, I'm making 1x6 shiplap paneling. So I want to make a over 6-inch cant because it shrinks. So I want 6-inch rough. You want to give it at least an extra ½ inch or so, if not an inch, because it's going to shrink on the width. But right about there, you know. So basically I'm going to make us, you know, like, however, probably 7-inch wide cant. And then flip it on edge and they just cut 1-inch boards. But that's, yeah. You could see how it cuts. That was a lot better. So this is our cant. So I got 11 wide. It's like just 14 1/4. So this will fit 6 3/4 between the throat here. So that'll give me like 6 3/4 and a rough 7 here. To get my 6-inch, I can stack them. So let's try that. Let's see if that runs. So now I can stand it upright, gang rip them, and get 7-inch rough, 6 3/4, 7-inch. So let's set her up. I had to free up some storage space. But you can see how I got the two stacked together, cutting them at the same time. But look at that. Bam. Some nice lumber right there. And then I'll sticker it. But we throw it right here for now, and I'll sticker it all. But just want you guys to see how nice that comes out. You know, if you have a nice blade on there, it's gonna do a great job. So when I split this log right down the middle, you could tell it moved. The log had some tension in it. But that's why you go a little bit wider too. Honestly, it saves you so much time prepping all this to make 5.5 shiplap, all at 6 3/4, 7-inch. You could too. You could slice it and just keep going, but I like using the scale. You know, this locks it in too. You can lock in with that, but so we can unlock it here. I like just doing a couple cranks on it. You know, and I dropped the dogs down on that side. But, you know, so then I can do a couple down on it. The blade's just barely touching. Come to my mark here. I'll put it on 1 inch. And I'll just come down. I like to go just past 1 inch. And you can lock this in too if you want. Keeps that solid. But that's our next cut right there. Lock it, and yeah, let me throw the gears on. Yeah, these, by the way, I had a pair I bought, and then this switch died, and they sent me a replacement, free of charge. But I have been loving the gel pads and having Bluetooth to listen to whatever you want. I've been wearing them like basically every day. I'll drop a link, but it is just so nice having a set of muffs that you can do the Bluetooth and it's comfy to wear. And to have the electronic hearing too, you want to be able to hear other people talking. But yeah, that's a beautiful thing right there. But you guys get the idea. I'll cut the rest of these. We'll have a whole pile of lumber. Yeah, so there's the pile right there. Got some couple scant ones on top and the live edge, and then the base of the pile is all perfect. So that'll be good. And chopped up some of them, and then I got some firewood there. Get the boys coming out to say hi. This was all with that blade and belt too, the older one. This was all with that. These two are all milled. Some good dimensional stuff in there, and then you can use as timbers or cants.